Hi, I'm Dan Neefin, reporter with Lancaster Newspapers, here with Eric Horst, meteorologist from Millersville University. Eric, we've had our first appreciable snow of the season yesterday, and it looks like more snow's coming. Can you tell us what to expect tomorrow?
Yeah, the storm for Tuesday is a quick hitter. It's really being driven by a very powerful jet stream disturbance that's going to lift up across the mid-Atlantic region and move into the western Atlantic. It's plenty of cold air available for this storm. It's going to be all snow this time around, nice like we had yesterday. But because it's quick hitting, that really limits how much you can get out of it. So right now, I think 2 to 5 inches is the most likely outcome. One wild card is, these jet stream disturbances can often create a very small bullseye of heavy snow. And so I suspect that somebody, maybe in Northern Virginia, Maryland, or maybe South Central Pennsylvania, could even pick up 6 or 7.
Oh, wow.
Well, quick 6 or 7. But I think that's the exception, not the rule. I think 2 to 5 is more likely.
Okay. Now, when will the snow start coming tomorrow, and how long of a snow duration should we expect?
It's a very short event, 6 hours. It's going to be in here to Lancaster by about 6 a.m., and then it will be tapering off to flurries right around lunchtime.
So in time for the morning commute and lunchtime commutes.
Yeah, it's really terrible timing for the morning rush hour because the steady snow right in, 6, 7 a.m. If it snows steadily or even briefly heavily, it would be kind of 8, 9, 10 a.m., that mid-morning time frame. So, yeah, not good for travel tomorrow morning. Conditions will improve, of course, during the afternoon. In fact, the sun even could peak out very late in the day with a high temperature, maybe around 35 by late afternoon. But while it's snowing, it's going to be in the upper 20s, so it will accumulate.
Okay. Yesterday we had about 3.5 inches of snow, I think was the official tally. Initial forecasts were for a bit less, I think. What led to the pickup in snow yesterday?
Yeah, official snowfall here at Millersville was measured exactly at 3 inches. Across Lancaster County, it ranged from about 2 inches up Lidditz, Ephrata area to 4.5 inches as you get down closer to the Maryland border. So around 3.5. And yeah, that was a bit more. I was kind of expecting an inch or two with the storm. Yesterday's system was a very storm. It had a lot of warm air with it, so we knew it was going to change over. The tricky part is, when does it change over from snow to sleet to freezing rain? And we lasted a snow a little longer, and therefore we got a little more snow. And of course, you might have seen down in Philadelphia, they got a ton of snow, 6 to 10 inches in a very small area where the conditions, the cold and the moisture were just right to produce a few hours of very heavy snow. That wasn't forecasted either. So, winter storms are like snowflakes. No two are the same. Everyone has the potential to kind of have a little trick up its sleeve. And yesterday, the trick was that heavy snow in Philadelphia that was unexpected. Here in Lancaster, it did pan out as expected. Snow over to a period of freezing rain. Tomorrow's storm, the good news, at least, is that it's all snow, no ice.
Okay. Well, I guess there could be some residual ice from cooling this evening that could affect things with a coating of snow on top of them.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. Temperatures right now in the afternoon hours are in the middle 30s, so just above freezing, but they will dip into the upper 20s overnight. So any standing water or leftover slush will refreeze tonight. So there could be some slick spots on back roads and on sidewalks and driveways and such. And then, of course, fresh snow falling on top of that tomorrow morning.
So be careful out there driving. Eric, are we in any sort of unusual weather pattern this year? Or, like I know we've had El Niños and La Niñas, but anything this year coming down the pike?
Right. Yeah, well, you know what? Right pattern is quite active for early December, and there's an unusual amount of Arctic air available. It was 30 below zero a few days ago in the northern Rockies, like in Montana and Wyoming. And the air mass coming our way for later this week on Thursday, we might have a high temperature in the low 20s. I think we're going to have a couple nights later this week with overnight lows in the teens. That's more the stuff of a January cold spell, not a December cold spell. So the jet stream is highly amplified. If you look upstream, like around Alaska, there's actually a ridge in the jet stream that is directing the jet stream over top the North Pole. And when you get cross-polar flow like that, it takes Arctic air, the very coldest air of the hemisphere, and brings it southward toward the United States, and that's why we're seeing these Arctic blasts. Now, one missing ingredient for people who really like cold weather to last is that there's no blocking downstream. There's no ridging downstream of us. So what happens is the cold air builds in, but then it drops off the coast and gets routed out. And that's why a storm like yesterday will change from snow to freezing rain, is there's no downstream blocking. So it's not a perfect pattern for snow lovers, but it's actually not bad either.
Well, you did mention there North Pole, and we're getting close to Christmas time. I know that's probably too far out to say if we'll have a white Christmas, but as far as you can see out, are we to expect snow later this week or into next week?
Yeah, well, 16 days away for Christmas is a little too far in the future to give a precise forecast, but the current pattern we're in certainly looks like it's going to continue into next week, which means temperature will continue to be cold enough for snow given the right storm track. So, for example, tomorrow the storm track into our east is the right track. We will get all snow. Sunday's storm was not quite the right track, and that's why we had the changeover. So, what type of storm might we have 2 weeks down the road? It's impossible for me to say, but the pattern certainly looks to guarantee that we'll have opportunities for some cold and perhaps some snow between, sometime next week or even maybe Christmas week.
Well, you hear that, snow lovers, and people want a white Christmas. Fingers crossed, because it sounds like conditions could be there.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, let me just make one further comment.
Sure.
Because there's no downstream blocking pattern, there is, despite the snow and the recent chill, you can get a warm day in this pattern. So it's not out of the question that there's a day next week or even a day Christmas week where temperatures get to 45 degrees. That can happen in this pattern. But the overall shape of the pattern is one that favors more cold days than warm days.
Okay. Are we in the same pattern then, or is this pattern you're speaking of what we saw last week when we hit high temperatures as well? Or is that a different weather pattern?
No, it's pretty much the same. This type of pattern, I issued my winter outlook last week, and I talked about one of the characteristics of this type of jet stream pattern is that it yields temperature roller coaster ride, which means you can get some bitterly cold days, as we're going to have later this week, but then the cold air can relax, and actually you can rebound above normal for a couple of days. That may turn into the storyline of this winter ahead, is that we will have these cold spells and opportunities for snow, but that without the downstream blocking, it doesn't get locked in, and if you wait a week, you end up getting a warm day or two and the snow melts off.
Okay. All right. Well, Eric, thanks very much for being here with us today.
Sure.